All right, everyone. I am very honored today to have Angela McArdle, the chair of the Libertarian Party, on to talk about some major developing news in the Libertarian Party. I think really it's historic news. It's very exciting news that Donald Trump, RFK, and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to be at our convention. I think this will be the most exciting convention that I've been at, and obviously, this has sparked a lot of division in the party. It's been controversial. So I wanted to bring Angela on to talk about it. Thank you for joining me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so I've talked to you a little bit behind the scenes, just DMing you about this, and I've been very optimistic. I think this is exciting. It's obviously going to bring a lot of media to our convention, and there has been a lot of criticism, even within the Mises Caucus, about the decision specifically to bring Trump to the convention. Some of the common criticisms I've heard are that this looks like an endorsement of Trump, that we may be associated with his politics, or that we might get embarrassed because someone might get up on stage and take off their shirt or something like that in front of Donald Trump. I wonder what you say to these people, and what was your thinking in extending these invites to these candidates?
All right, so that's a lot to unpack. So let's tackle the embarrassment issue first. Back in 2016, someone stripped on stage in protest of Bill Weld. That is always a potential issue. In 2018, we didn't have any controversial candidates for anything. It was not an election year. You had a group of people waving dildos. It's just, unfortunately, we have people in the party who are like deadly serious about never being serious. And I think that a lot of that element has faded away with the professionalism that the Mises Caucus has brought. And plenty of people will push back and say, "You're not professional." We are. And that's why we have a presidential candidate from a major party trying to but yeah, it's a risk. We're working very carefully to require registration to the event, to check people when they come in that they're not, bringing in anything like obscene, just kind of, like a behavior, like a status check, if that makes sense. Like you can bring signs in, a little bit of booing is allowed. That's what I told his team. If you get up there and say you're going to expand Social Security, you're going to get booed. But the context I put it in was, do you remember in 2022 when Justin Amash got on stage and misquoted Ludwig von Mises? He got booed. That's allowed. But we don't want to be like enraged Berkeley students at a Ben Shapiro talk. So that's kind of the tone that I'm taking with the protest. To that extent, I don't think it's going to look like an endorsement. I think there will be a little bit of booing if he says things that, are unlibertarian. And I'm just letting people like do that because I think that that's the right way to approach this, to let people have different reactions to it. I would love that, no nomination, no endorsement. But the reason that this is happening, one of a few reasons, is that Donald Trump and his campaign, and Kennedy too, to a lesser extent, they realize that we are the most powerful voting bloc in the country, Libertarian Party, and the people who vote for us. We command who wins this next election. And so they're going to do everything within their power they can to try to win every Libertarian vote. And they know they're not going to get delegate votes. That's fine. Like they understand it's a national convention. You are literally going to nominate someone else. You've all worked 2 years to get to this place in the party. That's what's happening. Like it's not their first convention. But they also know that the rest of the country is watching and that Donald Trump has a bunch of people who are on the fence about him because of Operation Warp Speed, because of the trillions of dollars in COVID spending, and because people are also just like fatigued and they're like, I don't want to show up again for Biden Trump 2.0. So he's like, he's working. He is sweating to get our votes. He wants to also, I think, and everybody has different views about this, but I think he has learned a little bit of a lesson with the deep state And he's like, maybe I should work more closely with libertarians. From his perspective, a libertarian is probably like Rand Paul, right? Like, I don't know that he's looking at party members, but he wants people who are liberty minded. And so I think he's kind of testing the waters here and seeing, like, he wants us to check him out, but he's also checking us out. And I think that that's pretty significant. Like, we've caught his attention. So I'm very excited about what's going on. In spite of the controversy, I think this is going to be the most successful convention we've ever had. I think that we have an opportunity to get Donald Trump to adopt our positions in certain areas. And if we have that opportunity, I feel like it's also our responsibility to try, because we're a political party. We're supposed to advocate for libertarianism. And so here I am doing it.
I definitely agree with you. And I think there are a lot of members who are really afraid of acknowledging political realities.
Yeah.
And when you mention the fact that Trump is looking for our votes, they think that's a bad thing, and they think that we should not lean into it. I wonder what you think of the idea, just generally, that we should lean into the idea that we are spoilers. When Republicans and Democrats call us spoilers, instead of denying it, we say, okay, we are. So we're gonna play kingmaker, and if you want our votes, you have to abide by certain policies. You have to accept certain positions, and maybe we set that bar a little high so that it's never achievable. But the long-term goal would be that over time they start to come our direction.
Absolutely. And that's what Colorado's done. The Colorado LP has this liberty pledge with the GOP, and it's very high standards. And they invite candidates to take the pledge. And if they don't, the Colorado LP is looking to run someone against you in your race and ruin it for you. And there's all different attitudes about spoilers in the party. Nick Sarwark said, your tears are delicious and your parties will die. He leaned into the spoiler narrative really hard. And I think sometimes it's icky because we do it in an unserious way. So I prefer to be the kingmaker. You're not going to get my vote, and you're not going to get the vote of the immediate party apparatus, but all of the people that we signal to, you could probably pull some of them off if you parrot our talking points, and make and be persuasive about it, because people need to be convinced that you're going to follow through. I mean, that's a good thing. And people who think it's not, I think they're very serious about having an exclusive club, but they're not serious about fixing the United States.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Reed. We were trying to do something similar here in Montana, and we can actually talk about it now because the candidate is no longer running. But Representative Rosendale was seeking election for the Senate seat, and it was my position that we should use the opportunity, being that he is very liberty-minded. He has voted for all of Matt Gaetz's war powers resolutions, and he is very good on foreign policy, that we should be out there kind of signaling that he is a preferable Republican to his alternative, Tim Sheehy, who is very hawkish. And I think that strategy can be iterated throughout the entire country. And I get the feeling that Trump is also acknowledging that this is a reality as well, that by him coming to the convention, he is signaling that, libertarians are a coalition that we have to acknowledge. And that also he seems to be acknowledging that by coming to the convention, the media will follow him and he will be highlighting our beliefs. It seems to, there's a lot of concern that him coming to our convention looks like a libertarian endorsement of Trump. But I think the more exciting narrative is that by him coming to the convention, it kind of looks like he is not endorsing our beliefs necessarily, but endorsing us as a legitimate political party that should be acknowledged.
100%. This legitimizes us. This says that we matter. We matter to people in incredible positions of power. I think that's great. Now, I also extended some other invites, right? People were like, you're going to turn it into a Trump rally. Well, I'm not, because he's literally talking about our concerns. He's speaking. We have a poll, lnc2024.com. You'll find the Trump topics. Go down. If you've already purchased a convention package, you can vote for free. If not, there's a paywall because we didn't want it overrun by trolls and GOP people. But you can vote for the top 10 issues. His team is watching that. He's like that, that meme where he's not supposed to be tweeting or on his phone. And that's me. That's me. He's going back and forth with his team, checking my poll. So that's like phenomenal. Let's talk about Vivek a little bit. Why is Vivek coming? So I announced Trump and they're like, oh, you can't do that. He's just coming to give a speech. He's not. He's literally watching our results and he wants to talk to us about our concerns that we all get to vote on, right? Well, oh no, there's Vivek, Well, Vivek is literally coming to do a debate with our candidate. Mm-hmm. So here we go. You wanted Trump to do a debate. He's not going to do a debate. I don't know if he's going to debate anyone. We'll see if Biden, if they trot his walking corpse out onto any debate stage. But Vivek has come and agreed to debate one of our VP candidates. So I think that's also incredibly exciting. We've been trying to get into the debate stage for like 50 years, and we brought the candidate who was the most fiery in the primary GOP debates. Like, he owned that debate stage, and he's going to come debate one of our VP candidates. And it seems like he's still in the running for vice president himself. So we're getting pretty close, I think.
Yeah. So I think there's an interesting narrative that we can kind of spin with the Vivek debate as well. And I think Vivek is actually leaning into this as well, that if Trump acknowledges that libertarians are a significant coalition, Trump should pick him as his VP.
Right.
And I think we should kind of lean into that.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, here we are having like a major seat at the table now. He is a mostly libertarian guy. And there are going to be party purists who scream like he's not a libertarian. He's got a couple of bad takes, but come on, like everyone in our party has a couple of bad takes. So I'm going to take what I can get, especially because it's not in our ticket. I think it's fantastic. And honestly, we've been trying to get into the debate stage for 53 years. It's not happening. I don't know if the Presidential Debate Commission is going to happen anymore, quite honestly, as people move away from that and gravitate towards podcasts and just like cult of personality stuff. So we've brought the debate stage to us, and Donald Trump is not going to debate our candidates, but our candidates are going to debate on the same stage right before him. We're pretty dang close. I've basically instructed media, if you're gonna cover Trump, you're going to cover our candidates. So there we go.
That's awesome.
There we go. We've got a major contender debating one of our VP candidates, and Kennedy is going to do a Q&A with some of our delegates. So we'll see how that goes as well. I invited Jill Stein. I don't know if she's going to come, but I said, hey, do you want to do a debate on like healthcare or, the economy? Do you want to, do anything like that? We don't have a solid answer yet. I know she really wanted to debate Kennedy and Trump, but I couldn't make it happen. I did try for her and for our candidates as well. Afroman, he'll be here singing some music on Saturday night. He is also running for president as an independent.
I saw that. Yeah.
So I just invited all of them. I was like, let's just have the debate stage be at the national convention and let's see what happens.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, why don't we talk a little bit about the things that libertarians are voting on for Trump to address? What are some of the concerns that you think are going to come up?
So end the Fed, definitely. Stop runaway inflation. Fire Fauci or Operation Warp Speed, something along those lines. And I've gotten surprisingly a little bit of pushback on that. People say that's not relevant anymore because it's not happening right now. But I think it is relevant because it's a trust issue. And we want to know if something crazy like that happens again, how's he going to handle it? So I think it's important. Free Ross. That's a really big one. His team does seem to have expressed a little bit of support for freeing Ross. So we'll see if that becomes talked about a little bit more, if we could push that closer to a reality.
Now, at the very least, I feel like libertarians should be able to acknowledge that if that's the one takeaway from this, that Trump becomes president and he pardons Ross, I mean, we helped facilitate that.
Yes.
And I think that is a huge win that everyone should be excited about.
Absolutely. I mean, that would be the most significant thing that we've ever done.
Yeah.
The most
power we've ever had. And I think we need to acknowledge political realities that, libertarian probably isn't going to be the president in November. He won't be elected president. Mm-hmm. So if we can lean into this king-making power that we have, that both parties seem to acknowledge that we have, we can actually influence them, and hopefully President Trump will adopt some of these issues.
I'm hoping, I hope that at the end of the day, everybody sees how significant all of this is and the opportunities that it presents us. And what else? I think Department of Education might be on the list. If it's not, we need to put it up because a lot of people have put that one up. That's something that we should be doing issue coalitions on. We do in a lot of other areas. Corey DeAngelis is like the best at this, but school choice, getting rid of the federal agencies that are just bloated and do nothing, getting rid of terrible education policies.
Getting rid of the FBI instead of moving it to DC.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I kind of wonder, I hope, right? Is that like a tongue-in-cheek thing where you're like, I'm going to put them in the White House so I can keep control of them or something? Like, I'd like to see them just gone. Get just gone. I'm really curious to hear him talk about the deep state. Abolish the deep state is on there. I mean, I know he's got to feel the pain after everything that he's been through, which is one of the reasons it's shocking to me that he doesn't just want to completely gut the FBI and get rid of it. But maybe he does. Maybe when he said bring the FBI here and make it a new headquarters, maybe it's like a janitor's closet.
Well, I know that one of his criticisms of Vivek was that he was too open about things that are true. And I'd imagine that he was signaling Vivek's FBI position.
Yeah, I think that Donald Trump and Vivek are two like very different personalities. And Vivek has a little bit more of the libertarianism, behaviorally, which I think is great. But I'm sure that to someone like Donald Trump, it's like, oh, what are you doing? Calm down. No, don't say that out loud. And we're just like, say it out loud, like normalize it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's really any fear that any delegate at the convention is going to vote for Donald Trump. I mean, there's too much Trump derangement syndrome in the party. And, the reason that I'm in the party is because I was a Trump supporter in 2016. And after he dropped the Moab on Afghanistan, or at least his administration did, I, learned a lot about the military industrial complex. I looked into Scott Horton and later found out that Trump wasn't even aware that the Moab was dropped on Afghanistan until afterward. And I kind of had this image of conservatism. I hadn't read Edmund Burke or I hadn't read any of the National Review people. So my mythology around it was that they were for limited government. But when I saw Trump's administration lie to him on foreign policy so many times, I realized that Republicans were not consistent in that regard. So that's what led me down the path to libertarianism. And if Trump were to move back on that, I would be very happy about it, but I'm probably not voting for him in November.
It's like,
and I don't think any of the other delegates will either.
No, it's like we had no relationship, but there was still sort of a breach of trust because it's like someone goes back on their word, and we all want to see him we want to see the country be amazing. Like if Joe Biden trotted out, whatever was trotted out on the stage and was like, I'm an anarcho-capitalist, I'm abolishing agencies, we would have to applaud. It doesn't matter who it is or what it is, or if you dislike them personally, like you have to applaud that kind of stuff. And it just seems like Donald Trump is going to make a couple of libertarian moves. And so to that extent, we're going to applaud it, but it doesn't mean that he has our votes. I feel more like I'm watching from the sidelines, kind of popcorning, going like, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? And you want like everybody to survive at the end of the horror movie, like that kind of vibe. I'm like, I hope a lot of them survive.
Yeah, well, I really commend you for adopting a political strategy and a cultural strategy. We've really needed one, and we've lacked one for a long time. And I think that accepting political realities is also trying to look for other metrics of success. Yeah. And too many times people are worried about, just increasing the percentage that people get in November, libertarians get in November, and they're not concerned about impacting the culture. And I think what this is, inviting Donald Trump, RFK, Vivek, and Afroman, is we're kind of creating a hub for like liberty culture.
Yes.
And we're
Yes.
trying to move the needle in the culture. And I think if we got to a point where Vivek was the mainstream conservatism, that would be overall good for our country and for our party. And I think that that's exactly what you're trying to do by inviting these people here.
100%.
So I commend you for that.
Thank you. It's been a lot of work. It's pretty wild. I have more meetings about convention planning later today, trying to pull everything off, and it kind of comes down to the 11th hour, and then hoping people reelect me because people are like mad, and I definitely I need support to get through this. But what I'm trying to give us is political power. We have so much political power right now. We're the most powerful voting bloc in the country. You have 2 major presidential contenders coming to our convention, asking to come. They need us. And so we have a lot of bargaining chips right now. And there's so much that we can do without compromise and without ceding any ground. It's literally just inviting them to share the stage with us. So I just don't know how that's not a win,
Yeah.
We got to lean into that.
It's not like we're making Bill Weld the VP candidate.
No,
all we're doing is inviting the guy to speak. It's nothing radical. And another thing that came out of this that I found very fascinating is that you were on a Twitter space with Matt Gaetz the other day, and
yes,
you got asked a question about things that Republicans could do to garner libertarian support, and you went on a rant about foreign policy, about how we should pull funding from Israel, that Israel should be able to do whatever it wants, but the U.S. shouldn't fund it. And you also argued against tariffs. And I believe the next thing that Matt Gaetz said was, I love listening to Angela. There's a lot of commonality here.
Yes.
Which we're already seeing the immediate effects of inviting Trump to the convention. And I think it's absolutely phenomenal. So what was your takeaway of that? Did you know, was that planned ahead of time, or did that kind of just fall into your lap?
That just happened organically. It's really great. I've had conversations with a couple of conservative politicians, but I hadn't chatted with Matt Gaetz yet. So that was really nice. I hope that people realize that that's a good thing and they're not like, oh, Republican shill.
Yeah.
Because that when you get elected, you have to go talk to Republicans and Democrats. That's how this works. We're a political minority. We don't get elected and then only work with libertarians. You've got to work with other people and try to pull them in your direction, which we're doing. It's unprecedented, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And something he said is, you shouldn't be surprised if Trump gets on stage and says that he's more of a libertarian than you. And it reminded me, I met Matt Gaetz in Montana. He was campaigning for Matt Rosendale here. And Gaetz said the exact same thing to me, that he had called Trump. I think there was some foreign policy matter that had just passed through Congress. And Trump said, hey, I'm more libertarian than you to Matt Gaetz. And so I've heard that multiple times. But when I was with Gaetz, I told him about the Defend the Guard Act, and he looked at it. He gave me his phone number. I texted him information on it, and I told him if you want to gain libertarian support, you should get behind coalitions like this. And I had the opportunity to share that story again on the space, and I just think, like I said earlier, I think we should lean into this. And he also said that on the Twitter space that Trump seems to be signaling that the true coalition for MAGA supporters and MAGA in general are libertarians. And that is why Trump seems to be adopting libertarian talking points about getting rid of warmongers, getting rid of the deep state. So I found that very, very fascinating.
I really hope he'll do it. I mean, to your point with Defend the Guard, passing Defend the Guard and supporting it directly supports Matt Gaetz' legislation. That's how we do it. You have to garner support for it at the state level and make people feel comfortable, and like they're, down ticket, downstream political allies are doing the same thing. And then you feel emboldened to make those moves. We just got to make it like a friendly environment for them to get these things passed. politics, a lot of it is like people taking risks, people afraid to take risks. We need to take the fear out of people on taking some of these risks. I'm a risk taker, obviously. Matt Gaetz is, Thomas Massey is, but not everyone is, and so we need to make them comfortable to make these moves.
All right, so let's get into your re-election campaign. Why don't you talk a little bit about your first term, some of the successes, some of the challenges you had, and what you would like to do if you get elected for your second term?
Basically, we're in the middle of a bunch of really awesome stuff, and I want to finish it. We had a lot of challenges. We had every potential hurdle thrown at us, every obstacle put in front of us. Massive hate campaigns, rage quits, people stealing, taking party assets, just the most reprehensible, unhinged kind of leftist behavior. And in spite of all of that, look at what we've managed to pull off. Let's do another 2 years. Let's finish everything. We're just launching our new CRM. Our old CRM was just garbage. It was falling apart. We had no software development lifecycle. We didn't have staff to support it. It was impossible to navigate if you were not someone who was skilled in, a tech savvy person, like a programmer. It's gone. I mean, it's still there for affiliates that want to use it. But for national, we have a new CRM. We want to onboard state affiliates who want to use this. We did this giant purchase of data that I know the National Party hadn't done in many, many years, if ever. It might have been decades. We purchased all this registered libertarian data, cleaned up our data, and got it for a crazy sweetheart deal. That's about to go into our CRM, so we're going to be able to generate revenue with that. We have candidate websites on shop.lp.org. If you want a really nice WordPress website, you can go and purchase it and just own it outright, the template for $100, and just style it the way you want. But it's libertarian colors, branding. It exists. But we're getting a cheaper, simpler one through Wix that's going to come out soon. What else? We've had online courses. We've got a really skilled political director, Nathan Fatal. We've got voter gravity. So if you're very focused on elections and you want to win elections, you sign up for voter gravity at votergravity@lp.org. It's an app creates your digital walk lists, tells you how to campaign, what your order of operations is. You can make calls through it. You can do emails, text message blasts, and all the data is plugged in. So you don't even have to buy data. There's just a tremendous amount of things we're doing. We're about to get our new website launched too. lp.org is getting a facelift. It's done. We're just standing up our CRM first and finishing all that. There's been so much. The anti-war rally, the issue coalitions. We've supported phone banking at the national level. We've supported the efforts of Defend the Guard, and we've had our Tennessee affiliate do a lot of 2A stuff and tried to be supportive of them as well. I just think there's an incredible amount of really awesome stuff that we've done, and I want to keep doing it. I want to see it through. I think this is going to be an incredibly powerful election year for us. It's going to be a difficult election year because it's a very crowded race. And so you need someone at the helm who's very creative, who can help you get that across the finish line without us all falling flat on our face. I'm prepared to do it, man. I'm excited.
Do you have any opposition? I'm not familiar with who is running against you.
Yes. Mark Rutherford, who was a vice chair back in the early 2000s, very pragmatic, thinks that libertarianism is basically centrism. And then for some reason, Stephen Nikela has announced as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I personally find odd, but it's neither here nor there. But that's it. I don't know how much campaigning they've been doing. I've seen Mark at a lot of state conventions. I don't know how much support he has. I know he was not a popular chair or vice chair. Sorry, he was not national chair. He was vice chair, probably because he was, I believe at the time, very anti-radical. I don't know, if he still holds those views, but I know that the party was founded to be radical. It's very explicit, quote.
Yeah, you recently posted a video of the founder of the Libertarian Party, or I think it was just an audio interview talking about the purpose of the party. Why don't
Yes.
we get into that a little bit? Rothbard and Nolan got involved. The idea was to advance our political philosophy, inject it into the culture,
Yes.
and it seems like there's a contingent in the party that took over. I don't
Yes.
know exactly when, and they believe that the only purpose of the party is to run candidates. So can you kind of break down that dynamic and the thinking behind those people?
It's this fascinating dichotomy because, the Mises Caucus got branded as a takeover, for better or worse, but it is not. It is a take back. The party, like the founder of the party, David Nolan said, the only reason to have a separate libertarian party as a separate entity is to be radical, to strike at the root. He never wanted a centrist party. He didn't even think that running candidates was very important. He did not place a high priority on that. And there's a ton of literature, there's quotes, there's interviews from him. Now, I think it's fair at this point in time to say a lot of people are invested in running candidates in the party and that we should support them. And I do, because I just ran through a whole list of things that I did that the party had not done before. We are much more serious about our candidates than we were in the past. Let's be serious. Nick Sarwark ran like 800 something candidates across the nation at one time. He didn't have any infrastructure in place to support them. They didn't have candidate websites. They didn't have voter gravity. They didn't have all the cool phone banking software. They didn't have squat. We have it now. But at the same time, my commitment is to be radical and to be very, very libertarian. And it's weird to me because it's like the people who are the most radical and principled are the ones who are willing to take political risks and reach out to people in the GOP and people on the left, because that was the other big criticism of me in 2023 is Angela's working too much with communists. We're the principled ones because I think that we're secure and centered in our beliefs and we understand our mission, and it's to go out and convert the masses and make the world more libertarian. But the people who adopt much more centrist views, who are a little conservative and socially liberal, and they just think that we're sort of like a blend of Republicans and Democrats, they don't want to work with anyone else. They don't want to go on Twitter Spaces with Matt Gaetz. They don't want to invite Donald Trump to the convention. They don't want to hold rallies with socialists and communists. They want to only do centristy, libertarian things. They say that they're serious about getting elected, but they don't usually win races. And they don't seem to take any political risks. It's a very strange dichotomy.
So I actually think that what is motivating a lot of people who are opposed to this Trump invite, I think what's happening is there's kind of a disdain for reaching out to the masses and having, a populist movement. I get the sense that they might not dislike Trump as much as they maybe dislike who he represents and, the deplorables, the average Republican supporter. I get the sense that they want the movement to be relegated to book clubs and they don't like the idea of people who aren't really interested in philosophy, getting behind our ideas. And I think that's kind of the risk they see, is that it becomes a populist movement.
Yes. And we need populism. It doesn't mean we are going to be consumed by populism. You do have to gatekeep leadership and make sure that you have principled, well-grounded libertarians in positions of leadership. But populism is what carries it to the masses and gets you elected. That's what happened in Argentina. It's not that every Argentinian picked up a copy of Man, Economy, and State and read 1,100 pages on economics. That didn't happen. And then also by the same token, a lot of the people who seem to have TDS, and really, really hate the idea of inviting Trump to speak to us at the convention, I don't think they're serious about anything. I think they're deadly serious about Robert's Rules of Order and meetings. It's like this book right here. It's Robert's Rules of Order. This is their Bible. and gaveling into a meeting is the most like compelling, important thing they could do. And, I invite them to go to join Model UN or student government or just like a parliamentarian club. Because this is here to keep meetings on track. This is not the end all be all of the party. Robert's Rules of Order is a tool. It's like we might as well turn this into the Adobe Acrobat or Microsoft Word party, because those are tools I have to use too. People just need to like get recentered and focused on what we're doing, which is libertarianism. Not social clubs, not book clubs, not the legalized sex work club even. Like everybody has their passion project. But ultimately it's libertarianism, not a tiny little micro segment of it.
Couldn't agree more. So you mentioned Argentina, and I heard that you extended an invite to Javier Milei. Have you heard back at all? Is there any possibility that he'll be there?
There is a possibility that we could get maybe like a video or a remote appearance. I've been working that angle for a couple of months. I've extended a lot of invites. The people who responded are the ones who are showing up. But I've extended a lot of invites. You're going to see a big media blitz on me extending another invite or pressing on one I've extended next week.
Sweet.
So there will be more surprises, little explosions right up until the convention.
Awesome to hear. Well, is there anything else that you would like to plug before we let you go?
I would love everybody to go to the website, lnc2024.com, and purchase a convention package or some sort of ticket if you haven't yet. Convention sales for meals are going to close very soon. Comedy night tickets are still open. You can vote in the poll. Make sure that Donald Trump knows what issues you care about. Vote in the presidential straw poll. Get your favorite candidate on the debate stage. Just do anything and everything you can to support the party. Because if I want to get reelected, if we want the party to be successful, if we want to be a force to be reckoned with in the coming election season, we gotta have financial power. So everyone, please donate and support the party.
And I'll make sure to have that link in the description of this video. Well, thank you so much, Angela. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to see you